This is To the Front. Tools for today's top agents.
We're back with another Christmas episode. Don't know when you're going to be listening to it, but a Christmas episode of To the Front. This is episode number 38 if you are following along at home. And throughout the year, we've brought on all kinds of great guests. We've brought on coaches and we've brought on thought leaders. We've even brought on like couples counselors. I know that sounds weird, but we talked a little bit about your marriage as an agent, as a business owner. And so one of the episodes I've always wanted to do on this program was to talk about FrontRunner. And if you notice, if you've been following along, we don't talk about FrontRunner very much. In fact, we try not to just be that podcast that promotes our program. But the reality is we're pretty proud of it. And we're pretty excited about the agents that we're helping. And so we've always wanted to do an episode on sort of an insider's knowledge of FrontRunner, like whether you're a subscriber to our platform or whether you've been thinking about subscribing to FrontRunner. This is the episode for you because we're going to talk about how to get more out of FrontRunner than anybody else, right? We're going to give you some secrets, some things that are going to make your experience fantastic, how you can use it to motivate your team. And this is specifically if you are an insurance agent. Now, if you're a business owner, you may just want to stay around for the laughs. You can do that. But this really is geared for the insurance agent. You might be a listener of the podcast and be asking, well, what in the world is FrontRunner? I just come to hear your guess. Well, FrontRunner is an insurance agency management platform that helps agents do what they already do well, and it helps them to do it better. In other words, it helps agents calculate commissions and bonuses. It helps them track those daily KPIs, those early wins that they can tell if their team's on track or not. FrontRunner is a full-time clock and PTO system, and it allows an agent to not have to subscribe to some other platform because they can do it right inside. And then most of all, FrontRunner is a coaching platform because it gives you the data to help make everyday decisions in your agency. Now, let me tell you, even though I've been here since day number one, I am the wrong person to be speaking about this platform to you because while I might be the managing partner, we do have someone else who's really at the helm of our operations. I'm so excited to introduce you to her. She's got a great story of how she now leads FrontRunner, but I'm going to bring on my friend Rebecca Kopp to the podcast. Rebecca, welcome on. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, that's good. I told Rebecca you've got a new job description. That is, you have to be my podcast guest. She's. But the true story though, don't you have a degree in like broadcasting or media or something?
I do radio, television. Yep.
Radio, television.
Right. So I did the campus TV and the news and the sports and radio and interned at radio stations in Nashville, Tennessee in college. And then when I graduated, I didn't want to be on camera. I didn't want to see another microphone. I was so tired of it. And then went into a completely different field and ended up here.
That's right. So Rebecca, you are now one of the few people who actually use their degree after being on
my parents are so proud.
Our so famous podcast. You know, you can do that. But hey, let me introduce Beck. I'm going to let you introduce yourself a little bit too, but I can't not introduce you because of how important you are to our team. You have to understand, if you're listening to this podcast, if you're a FrontRunner subscriber, Becca and her team lead over 13,000 agents and team members across the country. Every single day they wake up and they field tons and tons of tickets and phone calls and live chats. They're the ones building out your accounts. They're the ones making sure that you can be successful, right? So to even be able to get some of Becca's time today has been just really, really crazy. Especially this is our really, really busy season. So, but I want to tell you about Becca real quick, and then I'll let her introduce herself a little bit more, right? Becca started with us, was it 4 or 5 years ago? It might have been less than that. It might have been 4 years ago.
It'll be 4 years this month, actually.
4 years ago, right? And she started with us as, our basic account managers coming in to take care of customers. It might have been just a lot of front side customer service on live chats and stuff like that. And the reality is that smart, intelligent people always rise to the top. They do, right? And so right away, I found out that there was something really special about Becca. She kept growing in our company, and all of a sudden, we turn around 4 years later, and she's leading it. So she leads our entire support operations, all the staff members under that, does an incredible job. And I will tell you, our retention rate has gone way up. Our churn rate's gone down. The time it takes to get builds done and tickets turned around completely transformed under her leadership. And so, Becca, I'm glad to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Cool. So before we talk about the secrets of getting more out of FrontRunner than anybody, okay, get your pens and paper ready, agents, because you're going to want to not miss these things. Becca, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us about your background a little bit. You can tell your story about how you came to FrontRunner in case I just lied on air. And talk about your family, all that kind of stuff.
Thanks. So I got a degree, like you said, in radio television. By the time I graduated, like I said, totally tired of it. So I just went into another field and kind of worked my way up. It was retail, worked my way up into management there. Then eventually, I worked at some doctor's offices, vascular surgery, things like that. Then eventually moved with the pandemic to work from home, which was a whole new world, right? And then I decided that I always wanted to work from home. So I through a series of just events, I happened to be on Indeed and applied for FrontRunner. And you were my very first interview that I had. I had like 5 or 6 interviews lined up.
Oh, really?
And you were my first interview, and I canceled all the others after that interview. Even before you really even offered me the job, I just knew that this was the right fit. It just clicked. It just
I love
right.
it.
Yeah. And it's been right ever since. So you're right. I started as like an account manager with building account builds and taking the chats and the calls and the tickets. And then eventually that moved up into more of like an onboarding role where I was conducting the onboarding calls for our new agents, helping them get used to the system, get them acclimated. Now I'm also training our new employees that come in. And then now that's eventually led to the support lead role that I am in now. So it's been a great journey.
Awesome. And married, and how many kids you have?
Married. I have 2 children. I have a daughter who's 20 and I have a son who's 18. Been married 21 years now. And
goodness, what's up?
I know.
If you're listening, 21 years is like breaking industry records here. You know what I'm saying? I'm almost at 20 years. And so it's the best thing I've ever done, the hardest thing I've ever done.
It is. It is hard, but it's rewarding to have your person by your side forever. It's great. So.
That's right. Speaking of your person, you and your person have sort of another business you do on the side. I think it's super fun. So tell us about that.
Yeah, Shane, my husband Shane, he has a company. He has his business. It's called Balloons by Loons, and he does event decorating. He's a balloon artist. He goes to parties, makes amazing balloon sculptures and creations, and just blows everybody away. He does the arches, so it's real fun. It's a real fun job.
Heck yeah. Listen, I'm not going to tell you where like your address or anything, but if you live in the Nashville area.
Yes, Nashville, surrounding counties. Yes, surrounding Tennessee. Counties. Give us a call. Look us up.
Balloons by Loons. They do really good work. And somehow she balances everything. You've got kids in college, kids checking out college, all kinds. See, you did it the right way. I had a kid, and now we live in Europe most of the time because for our oldest to be playing football here, soccer here, right? But then we restarted this bad boy. We have a 4-year-old. You did it right? All of your kids are kind of older.
Yeah, they are. The youngest is 18, so he just turned 18 last month.
You're smart. Aw.
I know.
You're smart. You're smart. I'm not. Okay, well, let's get into the topic at hand. Becca, super excited to have you on. Like I say, you're the one to speak about this because you're the one that serves our customers every single day. And while I'm in the business, I'm more in like the strategy. And my wife just says I talk a lot. And so that's essentially what I do. But you're actually in the trenches with our team. All right. So what we've kind of done is we've got some secrets to getting the most out of FrontRunner, right? So if you're a subscriber, start writing these things down because this is so important. And I've kind of broken it down into some sections. And so I want to ask you, Becca, and I'll chime in as well. All right. We're going to talk about some different areas, but the first one is just getting started. Okay. So I hope these secrets will not just be secrets anymore. They will be out in public knowledge because truly how you start FrontRunner is typically how your team adopts it and moves forward, right?
Yeah.
And there are definitely some best practices on how to not only start FrontRunner, but use FrontRunner that make a world of difference. All right. So we're going to unpack those together on this call as secrets to get the most out of FrontRunner that nobody else knows. So let's start with this. How to begin. All right. So if you think about this, Becca, what would be a secret to about starting well with FrontRunner? What do agents do who start to use the platform and they start having immediate success? Like, what do they do?
I would say actually back it up a few more steps for first-time subscribers is there's an onboarding form that you fill out. And that is where you're going to tell us everything about your agency, from the names of your team members, their emails, what they're tracking, monthly goals, how you pay them commission, their PTO, their everything. And what's really great about the onboarding form is if you can take the time, and it may be a little time consuming, but if you can take the time to fill that onboarding form out in full, be really thorough, just give us all the information up front.
Yeah.
We actually set your account up for you. So if we have all that information available up front, we're going to go in, build it for you, notify you when your account's ready. And then that's going to save a lot of time in the future going back and saying, oh, I need to make this change. I need to tweak this. I need to make, so just preparing and giving us all that info up front. I have seen huge success from agents who follow that process.
Yeah. Can I give you too much info? Like, is there stuff that you don't want to hear from an agent?
I mean, I don't think there's ever anything as too much info. If it's something that we can't use for the setup, we just skip it. I mean, I would rather have too much info than not enough, because it really slows things down when things are vague or, there's not a lot of clarity and we have to start interpreting, and that can slow things down. So being very clear and can't give too much info up front. No.
All right. Give me a pet peeve. Give me a pet peeve. I'm not asking you to talk trash about our subscribers, but I am going to say, what is the thing that comes in when people are starting? You're like, oh, don't start that way. Don't do it that way. Don't set it up that way. Or like, what's like your pet peeve?
For new subscribers, when they're joining,
Sure.
like getting them
That's
started,
right.
I would, well, kind of to piggyback off of that, not providing all of the information up front. I want them to understand that when you get started, I know they're really excited to jump in and maybe start using it, hopefully, but really let us get in there and build it for you, set it up. I would say a pet peeve. It might be people who just don't want to take the time to fill out the onboarding form. Like, that's really critical and really crucial. And they want to skip through it, or they want to give us the information over the phone, which isn't, that's not always accurate. We lose information there, and that can slow things down. So I would say the folks who kind of want to pencil whip their onboarding form, not provide all of the information, we set up what they give us. And then when their account's ready, it's now back and forth calls, chats, emails, everything, trying to get it squared away, when we could have avoided all that if they had just taken the time to provide the info up front. So that is kind of a challenge.
Yeah. So what we ask for really is onboarding is we ask for an hour and 10 minutes of your time. That's it. What we ask for is we ask for about 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes to fill out your onboarding form, right? Tell us everything, line it out, even if it's too much information other than maybe like, your social security number, whatever, but like, tell us everything. And then you go back to running your agency, and we have some of the best account managers around. I mean, some of the smartest people that I think money can buy, and they're going to take care of you, right? As long as they've got the information. And so, slow down, do that. And then the second part of your time, whether it's 45 minutes or a half hour or whatever, is going to be this really great onboarding. That Rebecca and her team are going to lead you and your admin through that onboarding. And I can tell you those onboardings go way better when the setup is done fully, right? Versus us having pockets of things that we have to ask for, right? Let me give you one of the things I see. You tell me if you agree or disagree on the starting, okay? And this is just a great exercise for any agent, is when you come to your comp plan, okay, whether it's you're sending it to us, or check this out, you're giving it to your team members. Because FrontRunner's not just about helping you track, it's about helping you even be a better agent than you already are. And people thrive with clarity. They would thrive with clarity, right? So if you give your team a comp plan that's basically an Excel sheet, and you make them punch in numbers to figure out how they're going to be paid, my guess is they're going to start a little bit confused about how you pay. So
Right.
we're the same way here at FrontRunner. When you give us an Excel sheet with your comp plan, all right, we're going to try our best to decipher it. But Becca, would you agree that we often will get that wrong when it's just an Excel sheet and we have to sort of figure it out on our own?
It can be difficult, just looking at numbers. There's so much more that goes into it. Like, do you qualify for this, or do you have a tiered plan? Do they have an opportunity to earn extra commissions? And if they do, spell out exactly what they have to do, black and white, to qualify for that level. A lot of times that information is left out. It's vague, it's ambiguous, and we have to try to figure out the missing pieces or reach out, and then there's a delay. So yeah, you're right. Putting everything on paper, being very clear, it takes X this and it needs to be written or it needs to be issued to move up. And then also, to your point, making sure their team knows how they are paid. We get a lot of requests from folks who think their bonus is wrong, and it's just because they weren't aware how their agent pays them. So that's really important to make sure they know that.
Yeah, and they can achieve that, agents, by literally writing out your comp plan, not just giving it to us in a spreadsheet, right? So in other words, saying, okay, hey, here's auto, here's fire, here's life, here's health. I'm going to pay this percentage, this percentage, this percentage. This is how you achieve it. And the great thing is, once you go through that exercise, it's going to obviously help us here at FrontRunner. You're going to get started better. And like some of this, it's going to give your team members clarity on how they're paid. And we've already identified that some of the best performing team members, a key ingredient to that is they just know how they're compensated. And so that's just a good exercise. We're going to have it, and you're going to have it all written out, and that's going to help you get started with FrontRunner right away, right away. So that's with the onboarding piece. But let me throw something else out there. When should the agent have their team members start hopping in and doing stuff?
That's a good question.
Like, have you seen success early on by like holding back team members until the agent understands, or do you see more success with the agent just throwing team members in to sort of figure out what their questions are?
Well, that's a good question. When an account is ready for use, which is, we try to do it really, really quickly, we're going to send the agent an email. And that email actually is going to have every single thing listed out of what they need to do in order that they need to do it to be successful. So the first thing is, here's some training videos to watch. I know a lot of us don't like to watch training videos. They're not long, but it will cover all of the basics, from how to sign in, how to enter sales, log activities, what to do if there's a bonus calculation concern, how to submit changes. Like, all the info is provided up front in those training videos. So that's a real key part. The most successful team members and agents that I've seen are the ones who follow the process. So it's watch the training videos, forward them to your team, have them watch them, have everybody log in and just start exploring, start entering sales, start clicking around. I tell folks, you can't break anything. We'll fix it if, get in there and explore. And then after they do that, once they have sales in there, they're seeing them calculate, they're going to the bonus tab, there's real data. Then I do encourage, if there's anything glaring that we need to update, or if they forgot to include something, we get that updated before their call. But the end of the process is to schedule an onboarding call. And the onboarding call, I'm going to be honest, is not very successful if they haven't done these steps. I get a lot of folks who want to schedule their call and they haven't watched the videos. There's no data in the account. So when they connect, there's not a lot to discuss. Like, the purpose of the call is, to make sure, how's your team liking it? Are they using it? Is it working properly? Did we interpret your comp plan correctly? Now that you've been exploring, you want to know more about this feature. Yeah, let's talk about that. We're able to really talk about their account and their account specifics and the functionality, and not the basics. We don't want to, that can be all covered in a really easy training video that they can watch at their own pace. So I would say the most successful agents and the most successful team members are the ones who follow that process, who really go in, they watch the videos, there's real data. Even if your agency hasn't opened yet and you don't have sales, you can enter test sales. Just enter some dummy sales, go in, trigger calculations, every scenario possible, really stretch the system, make sure it's working, because we want to have it up and running before, they're actually using it. So.
That's right. I bet you love it when you're getting ready to do a demo and you go in, an onboarding, and you go into an account and you see that they've already been entering stuff. You're like,
oh, it's amazing. I love it.
You're like, all right. And it's a game changer, right? Because now your onboarding call is truly about how to use the tool to grow your agency, right? We've produced these really succinct, well-curated training videos, and they're really short. You can take your time with them. We know you're busy. We know you have crazy stuff going on at your agency. So it lets you hit the pause button and come back. And then you can learn all the basic stuff through that. So then it makes your onboarding call really, really fantastic, because then we can tell you about this next topic, which is, I think, more important, is that how to make the most out of your first month at FrontRunner, right? So I think there is a secret to setting up your account and using it in the first month that really makes the difference in an agency, right? So it's not just about starting well. It's about, okay, what do I do in my first month? How do I set my account up in the first month for real maximum success? And so give me a couple of things that you've seen, Becca, that maybe what you would think are some keys to success in the first month, right? Maybe it's not always about how you set your account up, but maybe how you instruct your team. Give me a few pointers that people sometimes overlook with the first month. I have a couple too I want to share.
The first month, I would just say encourage your team to keep FrontRunner up throughout the day. It's not going to be as efficient and productive for them if they're just pulling it up at the end of the day, throwing their sales in and closing it out. They're losing the whole point. So that first month, and all months, keep it up. You log in, you have it up all day. You're constantly enter your sales in real time if you can. That does help prevent like dumping a lot of sales in at once and maybe a little bit of lag we want to avoid that. And you can easily avoid that by just entering your sales throughout the day. Watch your commissions, calculate on the bonus tab. That also is a real great way to point, you find issues quickly. If you're entering your sales every day and you're logging your activities and not waiting till the end of the month, if there's any concerns or things you want to change, you're going to notice that right away instead of at the end of the month, maybe when you're trying to run payroll and you're up against deadlines. So that's what I would say. Keep it up all day. Yeah.
You knocked it out of the park. That was the first thing I was going to say, is that you want success in your first month. Don't treat FrontRunner like a big calculator. Right. I promise you, if you use FrontRunner like a big calculator, you are going to be disappointed. I mean, we're going to get it right. But the thing is that FrontRunner's so special and it's so impactful to teams when they use it throughout the day. Okay. The secret is the real successful agents keep FrontRunner up on a second tab. They've got typically your company's CRM, and they've got FrontRunner up, right? And FrontRunner even has ways that you can project some of our little widgets and reports up on big screens to keep the numbers in front of your team. So what Becca said is exactly right? If you want to be maximum success, okay, the first 30 days, make sure your team is in it all day, right? Because how they start will be how they finish. And specifically, Becca, you said something really important, entering the sales. It is no big deal. It is no big deal to put your production in FrontRunner. In fact, we did a study one time. We found that a team member that does 50 apps or less in a month will spend less than 30 minutes putting in their production. And that's typically like our number one concern when agents come our way is like, Adam, they're already entering them into our company's CRM. Why do I have to enter them again? I'm concerned about taking a bunch of time. And I tell that agent, just give it a try. Have your team have it up all day. When they enter that sale at your CRM, come and have them put it in FrontRunner. They won't even notice the time. It'll be less than 30 minutes. And they're going to be at the platform where they're going to see their actual versus their goals. So they're going to see in real time how they're doing. Because Becca, would you agree that sometimes your heart will lie to you? Like I learned that in middle school when I thought I found the love of my life, but I was not using my brain, right? Your heart will lie to you, but the numbers don't lie.
Right.
And sometimes as a team member, I feel like my heart is telling me I'm doing a good job and I'm getting the amount of activities I need and I'm on track to my goal. Well, FrontRunner has a way through activity tracking, through our trending widget, to show your team members in real time, is their heart aligning with their head? And it's cool because right early on in the month, they can tell I'm on the right track, or I need to speed it up, or I need to just keep on doing what I'm doing because I'm going to have the best month of my life. And they can't do any of that if they're not on it every day. They can't do it if they don't. So fantastic. I think that's the number one thing. You want success in your first month? Make sure your team members use it every day, all day. Becca, I even see agents who don't really even care about like the time clock, but they will still have their team members clock in because they want their team going to FrontRunner. They want them to have it up. Have you seen that?
I have.
Yeah. And I will tell you, FrontRunner's got like 33 or 34 of the top 100 President's Club multi-line agents in this one specific company. And when you talk to some of those agents in the top 10, they're doing that. They're having their team clock in, and not because they care about the hours, just because they need their team there, login activities, all that good stuff. So if you treat FrontRunner, I'll even go to say this. Even though we have a very low churn ratio, Becca, do you know we lose less than 2% of our user base ever, right? So we have a less than a 2% churn, right? A SaaS platform. This is a little braggy, but I'm going to brag. A successful software as a service platform typically has 15% or less churn ratio. FrontRunner has 2%, sometimes less. Unbelievable. Well, and a lot of it's because it's your team, Becca. It's not me. I'm a piece of trash. Okay, it's because you and your team. You and your team just knock it out of the park, man. But I will tell you, I still go through and I'll look at the 4 or 5 cancels a month. Truly, that's what we have: 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 if it's a big month. It's crazy. That's like nothing, right? But every one of those matter to me, and so I'll go look at everyone that cancels, and I will tell you, in probably 75%, where the team stopped using it and where the agent stopped seeing value was when they stopped using it every day.
That and then, also I see a correlation, not to interrupt. I've seen a correlation between the folks who asked to cancel, and I go back and look at my notes, and they didn't follow the process. They didn't watch the videos, they didn't schedule an onboarding call, they didn't get their team to log in, and then they're like, FrontRunner's not for me, and it's because they didn't give it a chance. And it's always so disappointing when that happens, because the folks who do it, the folks who watch the videos, and I know they've watched the videos, I can tell if they've watched the videos just by the questions that they ask. Okay.
That's right.
And there's sales in there. We can go to an exact person and look at their bonus, and they can tell me, hey, this isn't, we can fix it. Those are the ones who stay. Those are the ones who really enjoy FrontRunner. So.
And it becomes part of the DNA of their office. Remember last December, we had a little bit of glitchiness in our server, which that's all good now. It's all good because that's, I promise that. I hear you knocking on wood through the stream there. But I will tell you, the amount of agents who came to us, not in anger, but just reiterated that this is such a big part of their office. Yeah. And while we were in a tough season, that actually was incredibly encouraging for me to hear, because of how many of the hundreds, thousands of agents that are using this, that this is not just a tool. This is actually the lifeblood, a lot of their agency. And their stories, and you've probably heard them, Becca, of agencies that have grown, doubled, and tripled. And they attribute that to the daily use of FrontRunner, because it keeps the numbers and everything in front of their team, and it motivates them. Right. So we wouldn't be telling you this just to make money off of you. FrontRunner was started by captive agents for captive agents, and all we ever wanted to do was to help you to do what you do even better than you're currently doing it. And so we'll tell you to start right. I want to stop there because I don't want to cloud anymore about starting right. Some tips to start right. That's the number one tip right there. Okay. But I want to move to another secret here, and I want you to now think about all the accounts that we serve, right? And one of the cool things about FrontRunner is that we have tons of what we call widgets. They're just really mini reports. Yep. And we are the only platform out there. Okay. Now, if I have a listener that something's changed in one of our competitors, please let me know, because I don't spend a ton of my time anymore digging into competitors' stuff. Quite frankly, because I'm actually friends with a lot of the presidents of those competitors. It's kind of weird. We go out to dinner together. Very odd. But I don't think any of them allow you to customize your user experience dashboard like we do. And at FrontRunner, you can change how your dashboard looks. You can change how your dashboard looks to individual team members. And we do that through the use of widgets, mini reports. I don't know. I haven't counted recently. What is it? 30, 40, 50 of them? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have a brand new one coming out that I'm going to share later in the podcast. But what are a couple of widgets, mini reports? So let me throw it out this way. What are a couple, if you had to say, what are 2 non-negotiable widgets that every agent needs to have on their dashboard, or one, whatever? Share what's the non-negotiable. All right. And then I want you to share one that's really, really cool, that's really, really helpful, that you don't see a lot of agents using. So Share
Gotcha.
those with us.
Yeah, so your account will come set up with just the most popular widgets, the default ones.
For sure.
So
For
I
sure.
think activity goals widget is huge. I mean, that's just a basic one. The one where it has the
Yep.
dials and they log calls, their actions, anything outside of a sale. I think that's huge. But one that I think is often overlooked is maybe our data analyzer widget. I've grown to love it now that I've gotten used to it. Change is hard. But it actually is a wonderful tool where agents can go in, and I use it here with my team for some of the things that we're tracking. We use FrontRunner for our own tracking, and where you can compare two data points. And to keep it simple, maybe you're trying to get more Google reviews, 5-star Google reviews. So you may be tracking how many times a customer is asked for a Google review, and then how many Google reviews received. And our data analyzer widget, when you set those data points up, will give you a ratio of, hey, you've asked X amount of people and you've gotten 72% Google reviews, or maybe life quotes, how many life quotes to take to a life sale. And that is a really great way to see how that's converting, to your numbers into your team. So I think the data analyzer widget is kind of slept on.
Oh, I agree 100% that, when you do that widget, when you use that widget properly, super helpful with coaching.
Yeah. Right.
Like, give me a set of metrics that you see a lot that people use it on. Like what are a lot of agents comparing in that data analyzer widget?
Like I said, life quotes to how many life sales, PNC quotes to PNC sales. They want to see the fruits of their labor. Like you're quoting all these people, how many are coming to fruition and going through. So I think that's huge. Let's see. Another widget, the leaderboards are really important. I think that would be one that we would need to.
It's a huge motivator for team.
Yeah. Yeah. And they can, if they're competitive like me, they always want to, they see them in the number 2 spot. They know what they have to do to get to number 1. That would motivate me to kick it into high gear to get into number 1. And then the global leaderboards are huge. So
absolutely,
I think those are really motivating.
Yeah. I mean, and we still have some of our biggest agents not on the global leaderboards, but we do have some big hitters on there. In fact, for one specific company, we have a newer customer that they're writing almost 1,000 apps a month. They're killing it. And so, use that global leaderboard to excite your agency, spurn them on, all that good stuff. And that data analyzer that you talked about, right? That it's coaching. And the cool thing about FrontRunner, you can set it up to evaluate almost any 2 points of data, because you can use the activity tracking widgets, your sales, all to come into play with that data analyzer. And by the way, a secret coming to the data analyzer is that we're going to be soon be including time clock inside of those data analyzers, so it can sort of tell some production by hour, and it'll even be able to produce what hours are more productive than others. Pretty cool. So Becca's just hearing that for the first time too. So I can
I'm like,
throw that
wow,
on.
I like that.
You're like, and you're also like, oh, that's going to give my team more work. That's my goal, Becca. Hey, I'm going to ask you something, talking about widgets that people don't use a lot. I am still surprised by how many accounts I log into that aren't using the trend widget. It does that. I almost sound like an idiot, but this is how much I trust Becca and her team. Does that come standard right now in a setup, or do you have to add the trend widget?
It does not.
So that's why I'm still surprised by how many agents don't use the trending widget. That is my favorite widget. I think it's the secret widget that people don't know it's there, or they forget to use it. And what the trend widget will do is that it will look at your team members or your office, and it is going to tell you where things are trending to finish the month at, if the rest of the month continues as the first part has gone. So for instance, what it's going to do, it's going to say, all right, we're 15 days into the month, and your team member has got X amount of auto production. All right. It's going to come up with a daily average, and it's going to multiply it by 20 or 21 days, depending on how many working days are in the month. And it's going to tell your team member where they will finish if the rest of the month continues as the first part of the month has gone. So this is incredibly important for your team members to see. They can evaluate themselves, or you can look at the whole agency on app count or premium. You can look at it from all of your premium and all your app count, or you can get real surgical and just look at life production or life premium. Whatever you want to look and see what you're trending towards, that trend widget, I'm telling you, the agents that are using it are using it every week to coach their team. So they can sit down. Again, remember, your heart will lie to you, but the numbers do not. Right. And so when you sit down with your team, and you can say, hey, how's your month going? I feel like it's going pretty good. Well, let's pull up FrontRunner and let's check out where you're trending towards. And that will tell the real story. Now, I will say with that trend widget, and tell me if you agree or not, it's really most helpful after like the first week, right? The first couple of days, it's not super helpful just because, let's just say you have a bunch of apps that you've been sort of waiting on, and you log them all the first couple of days of the month, and your trend's going to show you being like an all-star, like you need to quit your agency and open up your own if you're a team member, right? So really after about a week is when that trend really starts to reflect how your month is going. Agree with that? Yeah?
Yes. Yep. Get the data in there. Yep.
That's right. So that's the trend widget. You can set that up. It's super easy. You just go to agency setup, step number 2, click on dashboards, and then literally arranging your dashboard is so simple and so easy. In fact, Becca and her team have written. In fact, Becca, I think you wrote a ton of the help articles before you are our subscriber support lead. And there's an article on how to set up your dashboards. Super easy. And if you get lost, you can always reach out to our team, and they're always happy to help. All right. So that's one of the widgets that I would say. Do you have another widget that you want to say that's not used a lot? I have another one I'm going to say.
You go ahead. I use them all.
That's right. I know. While you're thinking, the one I don't see a lot is the sales by zip code widget.
Yes, that's a little newer. Yeah,
that's a little new. I guess it's been around about a year, but check this out. What it does, it allows you and your team to put in a zip code for every single sale. All right. And then what it'll do is it'll put a big map on your dashboard, and it'll start dropping pins where your sales are at. Why is this important? Because it'll show where your marketing is most effective. Right? You might be appealing to one area of town over another. If you service multiple states, it'll tell you what state you're most effective in. It'll even show you what areas certain product lines are more effective than others. So just picture a map with all of your sales on it, and FrontRunner is going to literally give you where in town or where in the region you need to market, because that's going to be the area that you don't have a lot of pins dropped. So that's huge. So if you're sitting there thinking like, hey, I've got this mailer I want to do, but I'm not sure where to send it. Well, if you're using the sales by zip code widget, just go to your dashboard, pull it up. It's going to show you where all of your production is. And then you certainly want to start doing some marketing where your production is not, unless you want to stack wins and you're really good in this neighborhood, and FrontRunner will tell you that too. So I don't see that one a lot. And I think that's a really important widget.
Yeah. That is a good one. And another one that complements that is the sales by source type widget. We can set it to where it's required that they select a source type, where the sale came from. Was it a walk-in, a call-in, a billboard, whatever? And the widget will display, percentage or graph of where your sales are coming from. So that's a good one that kind of ties along with that sales by or the zip code. And another one would be, I think, the win the day widget. People get so excited about the win the day. I love it. It's so fun. And I love setting them up, and I think that's great. The win the day widget. People light up when I tell them we have that. So
absolutely. Tell our listeners a little bit about the win the day widget. Kind of what does it do?
Yeah. So the win the day, FrontRunner basically tracks monthly, but with win the day, you can set like actions, sales, activities, and assign a point value to them. And if they hit a certain number of points, they've won the day. And you can set that just for tracking purposes. You can even assign bonuses. If they win the day, they get a bonus, or if they win the day, certain number of days in a row, they win the bonus, they get a bonus. So that's really exciting, and it's real easy to track. So
absolutely. I said on my last podcast episode that, and again, I didn't make the statement up because I'm not that smart, but somebody said it, right? What gets rewarded gets repeated. And the win the day widget is a way to reward your team every day, even if it's just recognition, because win the day widget will also show you a streak. How many days in a row have you won the day? And that's a huge motivator, because what was the app? What was the app that I don't even know if teenagers are using it anymore, that showed like your streak? Snapchat.
Snapchat.
Yeah. Do you use Snapchat, Becca?
I did a decade ago. I haven't done that in forever.
Okay,
Wow.
good. So now
Yeah.
I can talk trash about it. Okay. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I know teenagers are still using it, and some creepy old people, okay, are still using Snapchat. And so sorry. If
Cheap.
you're 40 and using Snapchat, okay, it's time to get on LinkedIn. Okay. But
Yeah.
but it'll like show you how many that's a weird statement. But anyway, I know we're gonna lose a subscriber. Like, I love Snapchat.
We're gonna edit that out, Adam.
We're gonna edit it out. Stephanie, if you hear this, edit it out. Stephanie's our great digital lead here at FrontRunner. I don't know. You can, I don't know, Steph, if you want to leave it in, you can. But it'll show you like the streak of how many days you Snapchat each other. Hey, let me, while we're talking about widgets, drop a secret on you that if you're listening to our podcast, you're going to, this is a widget that we're getting ready to announce. It'll be ready in probably the next 3 weeks, pretty sure by the end of the year. And it is the long-awaited travel calculator. It is almost out of production from our engineers, and this has been requested so much, and it is being brought to you. We have a really, really great partner called Align Incentive Travel. You might have noticed 2 episodes ago, we had Jenny Thibodeau, who is the leader of Align Incentive Travel. We've partnered with them to come up with a really great travel calculator. And you don't have to use Align Incentive Travel to use the calculator, but you probably should think about it. They're a great company, and they're the only ones that I know that do it because they help you plan out incentive trips for your team. But this Align Incentive Travel calculator will actually calculate your travel credits. It'll calculate your rollover, from year to year. It'll tell you how close you are to your certain goals. It's going to be an unbelievable travel calculator. And we are almost, Becca, I saw some of the screenshots from our engineers today. It pumps me up because it looks so cool. It's going to be so amazing. And so that's coming down the pike. And I'm going to give you one more secret, because if you're listening, again, we're not announcing this anywhere, but if you're listening to this podcast, you're going to be the first to know that FrontRunner actually has a brand new design that is almost complete. Internally, we call it FrontRunner 2.0. Have no idea what we're going to really call it, but it's beautiful, right? It captures everything that you love about FrontRunner. It's got new stuff in there, a new navigation, new way to see your data. And the great thing is that you're going to be able to still have what we're calling FrontRunner Classic design, and you can switch back and forth between the old design and the new design. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, right? We're all about giving you options and flexibility. And so just letting you know, we haven't told anybody that, except if you're listening to the podcast, that's what you get because you're one of our listeners, And we do have some listeners. Right now we're averaging about 2,000 streams a week. And so some of you will know that. So, okay, pretty cool. Becca, I know I'm taking a ton of your time, but I have a couple more topics I want to talk about. Secrets to FrontRunner, right? And I want to turn our attention to the team members, okay? How are some of, and I know we've already talked about this a little bit in our other sections, but how have you seen agents encouraging and motivating their team using FrontRunner, right? That it's not just a tracking tool, it's actually a team motivation tool, right? So what are some secrets, some things that you've seen agents do using FrontRunner to motivate their team?
Well, I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel that if the compensation plan is a little too complex, I believe we received a comp plan the other day that was about 30 pages long.
Holy moly.
Yeah, that can be a little complex for your team to keep up with. So this may not be the section to talk about it, but I think having a simplified commission structure doesn't take, a doctorate to decipher and figure out where they are, that's going to be really, really helpful, because your team will know, and they can use FrontRunner to know where they are at the month and what they need to do to level up and go to that next step. So I would think not having a comp plan that is just so many moving pieces. If you do this, this happens, but if you do this, it negates that and cancels that out. That just gets really complex. So I would say maybe that should have been at the beginning, having a real strong, easy to understand comp plan that motivates. Busier is not always better. So
yeah, for sure. No, that is actually one of, I give a talk, the top 5 most common threads of effective bonus plans. I'm sure you may have heard that talk from me. I think I talked about it on maybe podcast episode number 2 or 3. I
It
don't
was
know.
a long time ago. Yeah.
It was a long time ago. That's right. But I think right out of the park, a lot of agents are using FrontRunner, and they're actually probably discovering through FrontRunner that their comp plan's too complicated.
Yes.
And they need to simplify it to motivate and encourage their team, right? Because if your team can't speak how they're paid, if they have to look at a document to tell you how they're paid, it's probably too complex.
That's
right? And so that's totally true. I'll tell you a couple of ways that I'm seeing agents motivate their team members through FrontRunner that I don't see a lot of people doing. And tell me if you think I'm wrong on this. I don't see a lot of agents using our leaderboard finish placement bonus very often. In other words, we have a bonus.
Yes.
We have a way to
yes.
build a bonus where you can compensate team members that finish in a certain place on your local leaderboard.
Mhm.
So for instance, you can totally set up a bonus that says, hey, give the person who writes the most premium an extra $100 bonus in
Mhm.
our office, or give the team member who has the most outbound phone calls an extra bonus. And
Mhm.
whatever position they finish on the leaderboard, you're going to bonus based on their position of the leaderboard. I don't see a lot of agents using that. Do you?
That's a good call out. No, I don't see that very often. You're right. That is an underutilized feature.
That's right.
Sure.
But I do know some agents that use it. It's highly motivating to their team because they want
It
to
is
finish
because they'll
top
see it
on.
actually. Yeah, they'll see
For
it
sure.
fluctuate, throughout the month. Like, oh, today I have the $100 bonus, but tomorrow it may be Samantha
Mhm.
because she beat me in the leaderboard. So yeah, that's a good call out. I hadn't thought about that in a long time.
Absolutely. And that's one of the most helpful things. And the next thing I'm going to say, I don't see it a lot either, but I think it's incredibly helpful and motivating to your team is, do you know that you can attach a custom word track to an activity on their dashboard? I don't see that a lot where, for instance, you can create an activity. Let's call it a outbound call. Okay. And let's say it's sitting on your sales team's dashboard. It's just called outbound call. You can create a word track that says, hey, here are the 10 things that you need to cover in an outbound phone call as a word track. And then as they're on their dashboard on that phone call, they can click the word track button on there and exactly what you would say pops up and helps them. Think about the confidence that gives your team member, especially your new team members, for them to have a little cheat sheet that's easy to pull up on FrontRunner. And you can do that on the dashboard. Now we do have a whole word tracks area inside of FrontRunner, but you can attach a word track to an activity. So maybe it's like maybe you have an activity called Life Pivot. All right. You can write out a word track to say this is exactly what you want your team members to say in a life pivot. And then every time they're getting ready to do that life pivot and log it, they can click the word track. It pops right up. They can use it while they're talking to that prospect. Yeah. So I don't see a lot of agents using that. Do you?
No, I don't. That is a good feature that is underutilized as well, because you can customize those word tracks so they don't have to go to the main word tracks and search. It's just right there on the dial for the task that they're completing. That's a good idea.
Huge. And I'm going to give one more, and then if you have any more, you can chime in. All right. Another underutilized feature to motivate your team is our countdown clocks. We have custom countdown clocks. You can add it as a widget, or you can add it on the top bar that you can create a countdown for anything, a countdown for ending your day, a countdown for fast start. You can create a promotion, right? You can do a countdown to whatever. And this little widget will actually have a little clock they'll see how much time they have left, whether it's in their day or towards a promotion. Then you can give a little message under there, and it'll say like, 22 days left in fast start, go crush it. And you can put that little message under there. And I would even probably compound that with the ability to add custom announcements on your pages for your team members.
That's what I was going to say, was the announcements. I've seen before folks have announcements, don't forget to clock in, or happy birthday, Mary. So those, I like the announcements. That's a really good way to splash a message to your team, whether it stays up for the week, the month, the year, just the day, to kind of get that message out to your team. So I like that too, the announcements.
Absolutely. And agents are using it to motivate their team.
Yes.
And so think of FrontRunner not as just your eye in the sky of your team. Think about it as like you can create FrontRunner to be like your team member's cheerleader, using the announcements or countdown clocks or the bonus for placement on the leaderboards, or a word track that's attached to an activity that gives your team members confidence FrontRunner gives you all of this, right? And it's what makes us stand out from our competitors, is that we don't just want to track your people's stuff. We want to help your team members be better at what they do. And we want to help you to have the data to make better coaching decisions in your agency. We know that we can't lead your agency better than you can. I've never been an insurance agent. Becca, have you?
Nope.
I feel like I could be a pretty good team member. So if I ever get fired, if you ever get fired, you and I could probably have a lot of agents we could call for a job. All right.
Probably.
But probably. But the reality is that even though we don't know how to run your agency as well as you do, we do have tools that you need that can make your job a ton easier. Okay, I've just got about 2 minutes left in our podcast. I know Becca's got a team she's got to come lead, so I appreciate that. I know you probably had to push a team meeting this morning to be on the podcast with me, so I really appreciate that. But last question is, and we're going to just this will be the lightning round, how do they get the most out of support? Okay, so I'm an agent. I need help. And sometimes I just want to call, I want to yell, I want to scream, whatever. Tell me, what's the best way I can get support without pulling my hair out?
That's a good question. We have a really great process in place for depending on what support you're needing, what help you're needing. So if you just have a general question, you want to know about something, the first thing I would encourage our agents to do is go look at our support articles. If you go to the top of FrontRunner, you click support, there's an FAQ and help guides. And there's so much info in there. There's so much that folks can do in FrontRunner on their side. They can skip the wait. They don't have to submit a ticket. And the help guides walk them through that step by step. So that's the first thing. The next thing would be send an email to us. If you have a general question, send an email. We're definitely going to reply back as soon as possible. If it's a bonus issue, if something's not calculating, we have a bonus issue form. Now, what most folks might not know is that our bonus issue tickets, we treat those as top priority. We expedite those. Those tickets go to the top of the queue. So if someone has a bonus, because we know how important that is, especially around payroll. So what I tell folks is, you may call if you have a bonus issue. You can call, chat, email, but the quickest resolution is going to submit a bonus issue because those get top priority, the actual form. So that's really important.
And probably that team member that, whether it's our first touch team or an account manager, they're going to have you fill out that form anyway, because we take your bonus seriously. So we want to document what the changes or what's not working, not because we're militant, it's because we don't want to screw up your account.
Right. And it can be easy to go in and put a check mark or something in the wrong
100%.
spot. Yeah.
100%. So we want it in writing so we know that we don't mess up your account more than what you think it is.
Exactly. And we do work all tickets in the order received. We have a very small team. They are amazing. I've never worked with a group of individuals that actually care as much as they do. The work ethic, you've curated an amazing team. And they really do care. So when someone, is demanding a callback, I'm going to say demanding, because we do get a lot of that. They're essentially skipping all of the other folks in the queue who did it the right way. And we do work the tickets in the order received. So we do want to reply to everyone and support them and everything, but we just ask that folks, recognize we are a small team. We work as quickly as we can. We work them in the order received, and it does work. If they follow that process, their ticket will get handled in a timely manner, a lot quicker than if they chat about a bonus issue or a comp plan change. We have processes for that to keep it aligned,
Well, that's right. And I'm really glad you brought up our team size too, because I think a lot of people, because we're so big and we have so many agents, so many team members, 13,000 plus agents and team members, that we have to have a team of 100, right? No. And the reality is our team, from our corporate, from our C level all the way to our first touch, is like 21 or 22 people, right? So we're a pretty small team. Why are we a small team? Because we want to keep the price low for you, right? We made a pretty audacious promise that actually some of my competitor counterparts think I'm crazy, is that we said you're grandfathered into the price that you sign up for. Mm-hmm. Becca, we have people that signed up for $49.
99, yep.
$49, right? And I promise you, I don't cringe when I see your payment come in, because we've got because our program's worth $300, $400, $500 a month, easy, right?
Yeah.
But we're people of our word. And so we're honoring that price. And one of the ways we do that is by keeping our team lean. And so that's just super, super important. Mm-hmm. But the reason why we can be lean is because we have great processes. We have great support processes. And if you follow those, you're going to get your stuff handled quickly, and our team's going to take care of you. take care of
Yeah.
you. So, all right. Hey, I want to wrap it up for this episode. Becca, thank you so much for your time, giving our listeners some secrets. This is such good stuff. And I can't wait to get it out into the podcast world.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Becca, thank you. You're an all-star. And man, I can't wait to have you back on for another episode too. That's going to be
Me
fantastic.
Too. Sounds
awesome. Well, cool. Well, this is going to wrap up for episode number 38 of To the Front. Hopefully you loved that episode and you're ready to take some of the secrets that we talked about and create change in your agency. Hey, until then, like I always say, go lead your agency with courage. Go lead your agency for something more than money, something that will outlive even you. Until then, take care.